Good morning. Sorry for the delay there for a moment. I am trying to go live on multiple devices in different locations. Thank you for tuning in to learn more about home inspections and what you can do if you have a bad home inspection. If you have any questions or comments, let me know in the comments section below, and I will try and answer them live. If it's after the show, then you're welcome to comment or send us a direct message, and we will make sure we get to all of your questions. Sorry, there's a little bit of a delay there on the Instagram feed. Just wanted to thank everyone for joining me for our inspections chat. All right, so let's talk about what a home inspection is and why it's added as a condition in most offers. A home inspection is an opinion provided by a licensed home inspector on a home's condition based primarily on a non-invasive visual examination of the accessible features and components of a home. Buyers often include a home inspection condition when they make an offer on a property. Other common buyer's conditions include financing, the sale of a current home, condo document review. If any conditions are not removed by the deadline in the offer, the sale does not proceed. The purpose of a home inspection is for a buyer to have a clear picture of what they're buying, so they're aware of the home's condition and get a good idea of what expenses they will face for maintenance and repairs. The inspection condition removal deadline is agreed to in the purchase contract and is typically 7 to 14 days long. Keep in mind that conditions may be extended if both the buyer and seller agree to extend them. Since an inspection is typically a buyer's condition, the buyer almost always pays for the inspection. The length of a home inspection will depend on the size and type of a property and the inspector's thoroughness, but they're typically between 2 and 4 hours long. Ideally, the only people that attend the inspection are the buyer, their agent, and the licensed home inspector. A seller may even stipulate that only certain people can attend this inspection. So if you want anyone else to join you, such as a contractor or dad, make sure you talk to your agent in advance. After the inspection, you will likely receive a very lengthy report. Don't be surprised by this. An inspection report will often include a long list of suggestions, regardless of the home's age or condition. The inspector is likely just making the buyer aware of any required and typical maintenance. Buyers shouldn't expect any property to be perfect, and they shouldn't look at the inspection as a renegotiation tool. Still, in some cases, they will ask for concessions from the seller based on the inspection report. According to a recent American study, and we'll put a link to the study in the comments afterwards if you guys like, 29% of sellers will either make minor repairs or reduce the agreed sale price to close a deal after an inspection. Now that I've covered what an inspection is and what to expect, let's talk about the most common problems that come up on inspection reports. First off, the roof. An inspector could find anything from a few missing shingles to leaks and water problems, and will likely give the buyers an idea of how long the roof will last before it needs to get replaced. Foundations, they crack, but not all cracks are bad. A home inspector can point out cracks that need to be fixed if the foundation is visible. Electrical. So many older homes in Edmonton will have 60 amp service, which your agent will probably point out to you when you view the home, so it shouldn't be a surprise at the inspection. Other common issues are aluminum wiring, faulty or missing GFCI outlets, and other building code violations. Water damage. Many inspectors will use a moisture sensor to search for water damage that might be hidden behind drywall or flooring. Moisture sensors, however, are notoriously unreliable when it comes to estimating the severity of the damage, but the presence of water may require a further invasive investigation to assess and repair. Asbestos. Commonly found in insulation, flooring, vent tape, and even drywall, asbestos needs to be remediated if any renovations are going to occur. Windows and doors. Windows and doors. Inspectors commonly find failing window seals, windows and doors that don't open and close properly, or broken panes. Appliances. The inspector will turn on all appliances, run them through a cycle to make sure they're working, and may record the serial numbers so you can be certain you're getting the appliances you're expecting on closing day. The furnace. A cracked heat exchanger will likely need immediate repair, and depending on the age of the furnace, it may warrant a replacement. Depending on your home's features, other inspections may also be applicable, such as a fireplace, a pool, a hot tub inspection, and those would likely have to be performed by a different inspector. Okay, the inspection is done. Now what? While no one hopes for a poor inspection result, there is often a way to make everyone happy and proceed with the sale of the home. If the buyer is not happy with the results of a home inspection, there are generally three options. One would be to ask for repairs. The seller may be willing to fix minor repairs, especially if they still live in the home. If the report identified something critical, they're most likely going to be willing to fix it. If the repair is costly, the buyer and seller may negotiate what's called a holdback clause, where the buyer's lawyer would hold back a certain amount of money until the work is completed in a manner satisfactory to the buyer. Option 2 is to ask for a price reduction. The seller may be willing to renegotiate the sale price depending on the situation. Buyers often look for other options since the repairs will become an additional cost instead of being included in their mortgage. Keep in mind that cash back on closing without the lender's knowledge and consent is mortgage fraud, so don't go down that tricky path without your lawyer's advice. Option 3 is to walk away. If the issues are simply too much for the buyer to accept and they don't remove their inspection condition within the time limit set out in the purchase contract, the deal collapses. Now, you might be wondering what this means for the seller. If the buyer backs out of the deal because they were unhappy with the inspection, you should turn to your real estate agent for guidance and support. Perhaps the buyer just had unrealistic expectations. Maybe a few small repairs are needed to make the next inspection go smoothly. However, if the inspection uncovered significant issues, you will have to remediate or disclose them to buyers in the future. Make sure you hold on to any receipts or guarantees from contractors that make repairs. On the plus side, any repairs you make could become selling features. Buyers and sellers should also be aware of which repairs are considered reasonable and which are unreasonable. Reasonable repair requests after a home inspection might include any health, safety, or code issues that were not previously disclosed to the buyer, issues with plumbing, drainage, or sewer, mold or water damage, roof leaks or missing shingles. Anything that left unrepaired could cause damage to the home before the buyer takes possession. Unreasonable repair requests after a home inspection include cosmetic issues that should have been noticed when the buyer viewed the property the first time, renovations or improvements, minor inexpensive repairs, basement floor cracks that have no structural impact. All in all, the home inspection is an essential step in a home purchase that can provide buyers with the information they need to know about a home. I can't make the picture go away on Instagram. Oh well. If you have questions about what I've discussed today, please feel free to put them in the comments section or send us a direct message. If there's a topic you'd like me to cover in an upcoming live video, let us know. And of course, if you're thinking of buying or selling a home in the Edmonton area, don't hesitate to contact us, and one of our amazing agents will be happy to assist you. Thank you again for watching. Love where you live. Oh, we got a question on Facebook. I was just about to exit. Okay, Edward, is there anything special happening with home conditions during COVID? That is an excellent question. So for the most part, the seller will have their own idea of how many people should be allowed in the property. So like I mentioned earlier in the video, we recommend that during any inspection, only the buyers their agent and the inspector attend the inspection. But because of COVID and requiring physical distancing, in a lot of cases, only the inspector is the one attending the inspections right now. So the buyer's agent would go to the home, open access, and allow the inspector to complete the inspection, who would then either over a Zoom call or FaceTime or in some way explain to the buyers the different issues or even highlights of the home that they've found. It's really hard if you have two buyers, an agent, a home inspector. Some inspectors actually have two home inspectors that go out to spend a couple hours in a house and remain completely distant from each other. So it's really going to be up to the seller how many people they're going to allow into their house for the inspection. And then your own buyer's agent will also have their advice and restrictions on who they would like to have attend the home inspection. I hope that answers your question. How much do home inspections typically cost? It's been a long time since I've had a home inspection myself, but they are roughly in the $500 range for a single family home. Condos are typically a bit less than that because they're smaller, and the home inspector isn't going to go up on the roof of a high-rise condo building, for example. There would be mostly just inspecting the inside of the unit and the balcony if there is one, that sort of stuff. What would be an invasive home inspection, and do you need the seller's permission? That's an excellent question. So an invasive home inspection would be any damage that happens to the house. So let's say the inspector finds moisture behind the wall. An invasive inspection would be, well, I'm going to cut open that wall and see where the water's coming from. That may eventually have to occur. The buyer may say, you know what, I'm not comfortable with this. We need to have a second inspection and we want to see what's behind that wall. And if the seller agrees, then they could go and do that. Or perhaps the seller would cut into the wall themselves and have someone look at it. Another example would be a sewer line inspection. They've become really common these days. And depending on how the inspector is going to access that sewer line, they're going to need to have permission from the seller before you do that. We have seen cases where the inspector decided to get to the sewer line through the toilet and ended up causing damage and then caused water damage inside the property. So it's very important that you have the seller's permission to do anything other than a visual inspection, and B, that if it's going to happen, that it's done properly. Great questions. Does the inspector need to be licensed? Yes. In Alberta, on our standard contracts that are provided by the Alberta Real Estate Association, it states that the inspection will be done by a licensed home inspector. Now, if the buyer considers themselves an expert, or they have a friend who's a engineer or something like that, and they would like to have someone else inspect the property, I wouldn't recommend going that route. But if that's the route they want to go and they get the seller's permission, then you could have the inspection performed by someone who's unlicensed, but it's not recommended. Can you pass or fail a home inspection? Wow, these are great questions, guys. No. There's no hard, this is a pass, this is a fail. The inspector's role is to just give you the information and then let the buyer make the decision as to whether or not the home is in the condition that they're prepared to accept. As I mentioned during the talk, there are what we would consider reasonable and unreasonable problems. So for a buyer to just say, you know what, I found some chips in the paint, I'm not removing my home inspection condition, you might have some problems with that. And again, this is something that you'd have to talk to with your agent and your lawyer about. Should we get separate professionals to inspect different things? Yes, and again, that is up to the buyer how thorough they want to go with their inspections. But for sure, if there's a pool, you should probably have a pool inspector look at that. A typical home inspector is just, it's not part of their day-to-day inspections. Another really common one would be a fireplace, especially a wood burning fireplace. You can have that inspected by a fireplace inspection. Typically, you bring up the electrician. If it's a newer house and there's permits for everything that's been done on the house, I wouldn't see the need to have an actual electrician come and inspect things. But if the inspector uncovered some issues that need more thorough investigation, then yes, you absolutely might want to have an electrician look at the home. A common example of having an electrician look at the home would be if the basement is finished and they didn't have permits, you might want to have a master electrician come and give an opinion on the work that's been done. Wow, that was great. Thank you everyone for asking such amazing questions. Again, if you have any other questions, don't hesitate to put them in the comments below and we will be happy to answer them for you. And yeah, thank you for watching. Love where you live.